Hello, NoCoders, and welcome to an introduction to design systems. I'd like to premise you do not need to know anything about design to follow along. I am in Figma, however, using a really cool product called Shipwright by Headway. It's 100% free if you want to check it out. But that's just so that I can illustrate some of the cool things you can achieve when using design systems. Now, design systems, the way that I look at them, are a collection of principles and reusable pieces that you can leverage throughout your organization's design needs, whether it's an app build, a marketing site, social media, etc., etc. Now, one of the principles that we like to use is atomic design. And we can see here we have atoms, molecules, and organisms. Essentially, it's tiny pieces contained by larger pieces, and then these larger pieces are contained by even larger pieces. I'll show what that means in a second. Before you start any design project, I would recommend setting up your tokens. What are tokens? Super simple. Essentially, what font am I using and how big are my titles or my paragraphs or my button text and stuff like that. So you can go and you can say, well, on my H1, my heading, the largest one has to be such and such font size with such and such line height, and it's got to be this particular font. What we like to use is the 8-pixel grid. So if we actually go under the hood here and we look at H1 through 6, subtitles, body, button, captions, they're all going to be a multiple or a dividend of 8. Now you look at some like 34 and 14 and ask, do you know how to count? Well, if we look at the post/value, those should be all multiples or dividends of 8. And that's because it turns out that the font size is only part of the typography equation. It's actually the text box, which is made up of that line height, right? That matters. So this is cool because when you put text next to an image or another container, another box that has some other elements in it, if they both have this sort of vertical or even horizontal 8-pixel scale, things are going to be kind of interlocking in predictable and more harmonious ways and not kind of fall off the canvas. So that's typography for you in a nutshell. Now, another thing that you would like to set up at the beginning stages of your project is color palettes. So in this case, we have, I think, 29 colors, and the question is, do you really need even more? So primary, secondary. Primary is essentially your brand color, and you can have two different variants on top of that brand color. So you have a lighter shade and a darker shade. Secondary can be for accents. Utility, you see we are separating everything by purpose. So we have, warning, info, success, error. We even have a dedicated palette for typography. So primary, secondary, disabled, and an alternative one. Button and action. So for links or buttons, you can have a dedicated color with states. So hover state, selected, disabled, and so forth. Backgrounds, etc. Shadows, you can set that at the beginning of your project. Now, I am looking in Figma, right? But these are principles. You can apply these to any software, and if that software doesn't support it, you can put it down on pen and paper, and it's still gonna work. So these are principles that you can leverage. Spacing, again, we do like to use the 8-pixel grid, so things are predictably aligned. We have grids, which have breakpoints. So these are based on devices. So like a very small mobile device is 320, and then you can have a tablet 600 to 960, 1024, and then very, very large desktop screens here. So this grid kind of flexes with it, and sometimes the gutter, which is essentially the space between these columns, is going to vary, and some other times it's going to be locked, but the width of individual columns is going to scale. So again, if you want to learn more, you can read through the documentation here, but these are just principles that I would like to expose to you. Now, some very important principle that most people don't talk about is actually naming. Now, if you have worked in a design software before, or even a no-code software before, you know that things are going to be called layer 1 or layer 0 or rectangle 3, copy of shape 73, copy 10, right? So you know where I'm going with this, and things can get really hard to find, not just for ourselves, but once we start working in teams, it's kind of not the nicest things to do for other folks on our team. So there's a principle called BEM, Block Element Modifier, BEM, and you can kind of take a look here, and you can read about it. You can find very eloquent videos and blog posts about it. But these are just kind of the foundational principles that I always recommend adhering to and kind of setting up from the get-go. Now, when it comes to atomic design, so atomic design essentially, as I previously mentioned, is tiny elements living in medium-sized, compositions, and then they can scale up to much larger realities. So, let me give you a few examples of what atoms could look like. A logo can be an atom. An avatar can be an atom. Icons can be atoms. So these are standalone elements that you can see are going to be hosted somehow in a larger environment, such as a molecule. A button, for example, can be an atom. Now, in this particular instance, we have typography, and we also have other icons within. So one could say that once two tiny elements start being contained within a slightly larger element, they could be considered molecules. But we like to use buttons as standalone items, even if sometimes they can include these. And just to kind of backtrack, if we look at this piece of text, it is attached to a style called button. So even if you're not using Figma, but if you want to annotate that on pen and paper, always make sure that whatever you set on that token level is going to be reflected across. And the same thing here with this. Button active, and then button deactivated, so on and so forth. So these are just some examples of atoms, even text fields or inputs, selectors, check boxes, and things like that are atoms. If we look at molecules, we have a couple of examples here. The best one to me is a navigation or menu bar. And as you can see, it is its own element, but it contains a logo, it contains an avatar, it contains icons, it contains a button, right? So you can see that's a molecule. It's an element that contains smaller elements. In this case, we call them atoms in this framework. Calendars, graphs. Okay, so this is just a way for you to think about how to manage your design a little bit better. And then organisms can be things that are a little bit more complex. Again, there's multiple examples for this, but a card, for example, could be considered an organism, or a form, for example, because you can see they contain multiple elements, and then sometimes they contain molecules